So, higher secondary students, today another topic, that is politics of planned development. So, India got independence in 1947, and when British left our country, the economic condition of India was very pathetic, and that is why the leaders of the nation, they were very much worried about how to revive the Indian economy, how to raise the standard of living of the people, etc., etc., and what technique they would have to adopt for the development of the country. And that is why the question of planning or planned development arises. So this chapter is regarding politics of planned development. That means how we have adopted planned development system, or the technique of planning, and what type of planning we have adopted, in which plan, uh, what objectives are there of various plans, whether we have succeeded or not, etc., etc., they are in this chapter. So I am telling you one thing, that you go through your book and study about various plans, like first 5 year plan, second 5 year plan, then third, fourth 5 year plan, and you find out what are the objectives of those plans, whether these were successful or not, and whether for some reasons planning was stopped for a certain period of time. You just go through your books and read it. I am not discussing these things here because then video will be much more large. So, challenges in the eve of independence. Before getting independence, what were those challenges that were there in India? First one is weak economy. Already I told you the economic condition was very pathetic during the British period, because Britishers, they did not take any positive measures for the all-round development of Indian economy. So Indian economy was very weak, very poor, and that was a very big problem before the freedom fighters. And the next one is low per capita income. It is related with weak economy. If the economy is weak, automatically the per capita income of the people will be very less, and that was there. Per capita income of the people was very less, and even for some, survival also become very much difficult. Then low standard of living. Of course, if the per capita income is low, then the standard of living of the people will automatically become low. So they cannot able to raise the standard of living, and they are facing various difficulties. So how to raise the standard of living of the people, that is also a great problem before the leaders. Then predominance of agriculture. Okay, India is an agricultural country, so the dominance of agriculture in Indian economy will always be there, but there should be some kind of balance between agriculture and industry, because if only agricultural development is there and industry is totally lagging behind, then agriculture also cannot develop itself, because without technical know-how, without industrial help, it is not possible to develop the agricultural output also. So that was also a problem. So at that time, before the country, there were two models. One, it was Gandhian model, and another was Nehruvian model. So far as Gandhia's model is concerned, Gandhi insisted on the development of the villages. He was in favor of the development of rural economy, to make the Indian villages self-sufficient, to and to develop the country by making the village as the grassroots economic institution. So he was in favor of village economy, development of cottage industry, development of small scale industry, and to make the village self-sufficient. But so far as Nehru is concerned, he was the first Prime Minister of India, and he was a very significant leader also at that time. So he was very much actually influenced by the Russian system, and that's why he was interested to develop the industry of the country, so that if the industrial base of the country become much more stronger, India will become a self-reliant country. And if India become a self-reliant country, it can establish a what I can say, that it can establish a standard through which it can meet the challenges from other countries of the world. So that was Nehruvian model. That means to increase, to develop the industry, to give more importance on the development of the industry, to become self-reliant by developing on industry and planning, and try to become at par with other countries of the world. So, and here Nehru also very much influenced by the planning system of Soviet Russia, and that's why he thought that for the economic development of the country, we will also have to start the 5-year plan. And that is why Planning Commission was established in India. Planning Commission was an autonomous body. It was established in India with Prime Minister as the chairperson, and that Planning Commission framed the plan for whole country, and according to that plan or the strategy of that plan, the development process of the country were carried away. So here I have mentioned about Bombay Plan. It took place in 1944. That means here I am saying you one thing. Generally, those who are the capitalist class, or those who are the rich businessman community or rich industrialist in any country, they were not very much interested on, or they are not very much interested on planned development system, because in planned development system what happened, the state or the government generally play most important or significant role. But opposite thing happened in India. So far as India is concerned, here what happened, before independence, most of our industrialists, Indian industrialists or big businessmen or the capitalist group, they joined together and they have decided that no, after independence we will start the development process through planning system, through 5-year plans, and here the government would have to play a very important role, and government will provide all kind of help and assistance for the development of the country. So that was known as Bombay Plan, where the industrialists of the country, businessmen of the country, they also talked in favor of planning as a technique for the development of the country. So what were the basic objectives of Indian planning? The basic objective of Indian planning were growth. That means to increase the growth rate up to 5%, as per capita income of India was very less. So without increasing the growth rate of the country, it was not possible to solve that problem. Then modernization, along with growth rate is also not possible without adopting modern technique. So modernization means adopting new techniques, adopting new technical know-how, if necessary to take help from other foreign countries for getting technical help from other countries, and by using that technique it possible to increase the agricultural production, and in that way if the production increases, then automatically per capita income of the people will also increase. So modernization means adopting new techniques, scientific techniques, etc. for the development of country's economy. Then self-reliance. Self-reliance means country should be self-sufficient enough so far as economic field is concerned, especially for food grains and others. If the country is self-reliant, then it is possible for that country to develop or to develop or implement its own policy, to frame its own policy without the dictation of any foreign power. So self-reliance, especially in economic field, is another objective of India's planning. And last one is social justice. Social justice means in India, number of people they were living below the poverty line. So it was also an objective of Indian plan that they will try to remove the differences between the rich and the poor, and government will have to adopt various plans and programs and policies for the upliftment of the poor people to establish social justice in the country. So growth rate means to increase the growth rate of the country. Modernization means by using new technique to develop the economy of the country. Self-reliant means self-dependent without depending on other countries. And last one is social justice. That means to distribute the fruits of economy among all groups of the people equally as far as possible. Then key controversies related to development. Two types of controversies arises, and this is important for your examination also. First one is agriculture versus industry. So when the planning process was going on in India, at that time debates actually arises between various leaders regarding the importance should be given whether on agriculture or in industry. Some of the leaders they were of the opinion that in second 5-year plan much more stress was given on industry. So from now onwards agriculture should have to get important positions, and agricultural development is very much necessary. Without reviving the rural economy, it is not possible in India to develop urban economy, etc., etc. And some of them even give some suggestions also for land reform, for giving the surplus land to the poor people, etc., etc. But those who are the landowners, they were very rich and they were not pay heed to all those suggestions, whatever may be. But what I can say, that confrontation or differences of opinion were there among the members or among the leaders of the country regarding the importance of agriculture and industry. Some are saying that give more stress on agriculture in the planning. That means more amount of money should be allocated for the development of agriculture, and some were saying that more amount of money should be allocated for industry, and some of them were even suggested for reform in agricultural sector. Some of them are saying for the significance of village economy or rural economy, etc., etc. But that process was going on. Then another debate was there regarding public sector and private sector. That means some of the economists or some of the leaders, they were saying that public sector, that means government sector, should have to play a much more important role for the development of the country, and they should have to do much more work for the development of the country. And some other leaders, they are saying that okay, public sector, sometimes public sectors are not successfully able to implement the objectives of the planning. So in that case, we may have to entrust some responsibility to private sector also, because in private sectors, the people are much more, what I can say, that they are much more efficiently done their work. So it is better to give some rule to the private sector also. But as India adopted the policy of mixed economy, so mixed economy means public sector and private sector both will exist simultaneously, and it will be decided by the government who will get what percentage of work. So ultimately in Indian context, still public sector is playing a very important role in Indian economy. But nowadays the scenario has changed to a lot, and now private sector is also playing a very important role. But during that period, during the initial period, debate started between the leader and the economist about the role of the public sector and about their opinion regarding the role of the private sector also for development of Indian economy. And in that period, Green Revolution also took place. So what is Green Revolution? Green Revolution means a revolutionary change took place in case of production of agriculture, in case of agricultural production. Okay. So what are the techniques of Green Revolution? Why Green Revolution actually took place in India? First one is quantitative expansion of farming land. That means farming land was started increasing during the eve of independence, and it was continuing. That is, more and more areas are become cultivated land, and the farmers have started cultivating more and more land. Then another system they have adopted, double cropping. Double cropping means two types of cropping will take place in the same land. For first cropping, they will depend on monsoon. that means on the gift of nature, and for second cropping they will take the help of irrigation facilities and other facilities for second cropping. So if in a particular land two types of cropping took place in the same year, automatically production will increase. Then high yielding variety of seeds. High yielding variety of seeds means these are artificial seeds. These are actually produced by the ICAR. ICAR means Indian Agricultural Research Center. It was there in 1929 and it was reorganized in 1965, and they have actually produced some high yielding variety of seeds, and that type of seeds were used by Indian farmers, for which the production of the country increased to a great extent, and India actually achieved a particular position where India became self-reliant so far as food grains is concerned. So that revolutionary changes in agricultural pattern and the increase of production can be termed as green revolution, for which they have adopted number of techniques. So just today up to that, and tomorrow I will continue this chapter again for little bit still there, and after that I will switch over to another chapter. So thank you. This one is politics of plan development. Planning means what? Planning means a strategy for economic development of the country. Okay, planning means strategy for economic development of the country, and Nehru adopted that system from whom? Nehru adopted that system from Soviet Russia. He was influenced by the system of Soviet Russia, and he was also interested to establish big industry and development of industry so that India can become a self-reliant country, and they have forgotten about the Gandhian technique. Okay, and another thing is that the Indian capitalist group, they were not very much they were not against the planning system, though in other countries that generally the industrial group or capitalist group they are against the planning system, but in India reverse took place. The industrial group and the rich businessmen, they told that no, after independence we will adopt the planning system, and that will be that will be assisted by the government, and in that process, by adopting that process, we will develop the Indian economy. And basic objectives of Indian planning to increase the growth rate, then modernization, then self-reliance and social justice. And some controversies arises during that time. That means in various plans, which one will get much more important, agriculture or industry? And this debate actually arises because some of the leaders, they were saying that during second 5-year plan much stress was given on industry and public sector and private sector. So thank you today.